Welcome to the Treasurer's Report for 2022. Each year the PCC prepares a document called the Annual Report on Financial Statements, which you have to do by charity law. And this document summarises the Church's finances and gives an account of how the Church's income has been used. And the accounts are independently examined to ensure that they give a true record. So it's one way in which the Church is seen to be accountable to all of those who support its work. That's not just those in the Church, but it's other people outside the Church and grant-making bodies. So it's an important document. It's available online or in hard copy in the Church, and do encourage you to have a look at it. So I'd like to begin with our general fund, which is the money for the day-to-day running of the church. And this slide shows where our income comes from and shows the trend since 2019. That's the last year before the pandemic. So you can see that roughly 2/3 of our income comes from donations and roughly 1/3 comes from lettings. And the activities bit in the middle is mainly weddings and funerals. So you can see that our donations have remained steady even during the pandemic. So our letting income took quite a serious hit, but is now back to more or less where it was before the pandemic. We're looking a little closer at our donated income. Total sort of given was just under 62,000. This slide helps us understand how this money is made up. So many people give by monthly standing order. That's the left-hand column, and that is the largest part of our income, accounting for over half of it. The envelope scheme is used by a much smaller number of people who put a numbered envelope in the collection each week. And the collections, that's the loose cash in the offering each Sunday. And the sundry donations on the right-hand side is pretty much everything else. So that's card giving, making bank transfers, and so on. So we can see that during the pandemic, our collections obviously took a hit. They've recovered somewhat, but some giving has remained with card giving and giving in cashless ways. But overall, our income in 2022 was just slightly less than 2021, but we didn't have a special gift day, so that sort of accounted for that. And on top of all of this, there's £13,000 that comes in gift aid, which is a very important part of our income. So if you're a taxpayer and you haven't signed the gift aid declaration and you make regular donations, then do have a word with me about that. So moving on to our costs, the biggest cost is called the parish share, and this is our contribution to paying for our professional clergy. It seems like a lot, but you can see from this slide that we get a lot for it. We get our clergy salary, their housing, their pensions, training of future clergy, and also our contribution to diocesan costs. It's in fact greatly subsidised. What we pay doesn't cover the full cost of our own clergy. And our other costs, this next slide, this shows the breakdown of the sort of day-to-day running costs for the rest of the church. So mission, this is what we give to other mission agencies, just under 3,000 in 2022. The activities column, this is what we spend on stuff that we do, like church services, activities in the week. It also includes our clergy expenses. The utilities as gas, electric and water, about 12,000, and that was almost 4,000 more than in 2021 because of gas prices effectively doubling in April last year and electricity trebling in August last year when previous contracts ended. Well, thankfully gas prices are coming down, but not before the colder part of the year, so 2023 will be a very expensive year for utilities too. Now, the building running costs at 19,000. This includes things such as a paid cleaner at St Paul's, routine repairs, servicing, maintenance, waste collection, which is very expensive in itself, and letting management of the flat at St Paul's. And the column on the right hand side is administration, so this includes the cost of running the church office, the secretary, the verger, the photocopier, stationery, telephone and broadband. Our letting income in total was 36,000, so this goes in fact a long way to covering these day-to-day running costs. So everything I've spoken about so far has been our unrestricted or general fund. So moving on now to our restricted funds. Now, restricted funds are funds which have been given for a specific purpose, and the money cannot be used for any other purpose than which it was given for. So the biggest restricted fund is St Paul's Development Fund now, because we launched our appeal for the lighting project at the tail end of last year, and we completed the year with about 35,000 in this fund, having spent 6,000 on a fundraising consultant. And we're starting to see the fruit of that consultant's work, with grants of about 30,000 received so far in 2023. There's also St Mary's Development Fund, about £3,000 of income there from donations and fundraising. To spent a lot more than that on the archaeological dig and other costs associated with that, about 12,000. So that fund ended with about 18,000 in the bank. The other funds, restricted funds that we have, there's Harlow Holiday Lunch Clubs. This is work which Joki undertakes in her role as Deanery Missioner. Everything that's going on here is she's set up, and we provide meals and activities and support for families in need in Harlow. And we continue to support Sarah in Tanzania in her education. We have very generous donations coming in for that, and we paid just under £1,400 for her education. And 2023 is in fact the last year that we'll be supporting her at school. There are various other restricted donations totaling over £6,000, and the printed report gives you a breakdown of what makes up all of those. So looking forward to 2023, in fact, we started the year with a very strong position of our general fund, nearly 17,000, but there are some challenges for the year ahead. The parish share is very much more than 2022. It's just under 75,000 because the diocese has implemented a new way for sharing the costs amongst churches, and there was about £5,000 worth of essential repairs at St Paul's that we didn't complete in 2022, so that really accounts for part of the large starting balance there. And energy costs can still be much higher in 2023, but I am expecting some improvement in 2024 if we can get through next year. So finally, I want to say thank you to all of you, not just for listening, but for all that you give to support the church financially. Every donation is a sign of God's generosity towards us. Without your generosity, the church could not function. So thank you all very much. And finally, thanks to those who help support the church's finances. Victor, who does the bookkeeping, there's Mandy, who takes all the cash to the bank, Christine, who processes the gift aid, Tony and Dee administers the envelope scheme, and there are those who help authorise payments that we make from the bank. So thank you to those, and thank you all very much for listening today.